So today we'll discuss about Solow model of economic growth, right? Last week we talked about economic growth, right? Types of GDP and the importance of that growth, yes? And we said that, in order to eliminate poverty level in the nation and to become a rich nation, so GDP should grow. And what kind of factors should be considered to make it grow, okay? Solow model is able to answer to most of those questions, okay? To most of those questions. All right. Solow model. Last week we discussed about three types of convergence, right? Absolute, conditional, and club convergence, right? And based on conditional convergence, we said that countries are going to reach one steady state level in the long run where all people will be living equally if structural characteristics are same, right? So this Solow model, okay, shows how those structural characteristics in the economy affects on long run growth. Okay? It shows us, and it's able to show it. So regarding those structural characteristics, we are going to consider saving rate in the economy, population growth, and change in technology. If investment, as we already said, if countries are saving more, which is it will be contribution to more capital in the future. If there is more capital, there will be more output. Yes? So which was positive of that structural characteristic. And we made arguments that if population grows, yes, which means that it will definitely increase our output, but regarding per capita, it's going to reduce it. Right? So those things we consider. Solow model, the founder himself it's the name of this person, Robert Solow. I think he's still alive, maybe he's close to 100 years old person, okay? Very great economist, American economist, okay? So in his paper, which was published in 1956, he introduced this model, okay? A contribution to the theory of economic growth. It's seminal paper, okay? If you check it just citation, more than 30,000 researchers, they cited his work, this work, which is huge citation. Okay, good. And because of his contribution to growth theory in the economy, he was awarded Nobel Prize. Nobel Prize because of his work. Okay. So, and what's the condition behind getting Nobel Prize? That Nobel Prize is not given for everyone. It's too difficult. The condition is by your contribution to the science, you should make that type of changes that is going to change people's life into good side. Alright? So he was able, this model was able to show us in the long run, okay, we will see how it was supported with the literature evidence, or empirical evidence, okay. It really contributed really significantly, okay, and this model, some countries, they were formulating their policies based on this model, which by expecting that in the long run we will be living better. Okay. And another interesting, thing about this person, he was a student of Lycée de Lyon, okay. By name, it seems like Russian person. He was indeed Russian American, who was born during Soviet Union in that area, geographical vicinity. And he studied in Pittsburgh University, I think, economics, okay? During Soviet Union, it was the time like, it was planned economy, right? Command economy, sorry. If you are, supporting some kind of, different type of school of thought in economics, free market economy or state capitalistic, whatever, it was considered as like radicalism. The guy is, radical. He is now studying that different type of economy. All right? Especially at that time, that Western type of, imitating Western type of economy was really against the policy, right? And Vasily Leontief, his supervisor, he was that type of supporter of one of the American, those economists, okay? for which he was put in jail because he was studying that type of free market economy. And after years, he was not giving up. It's true, okay? Then they decided, just let this guy go. I think the guy has some mental problems. Then after that, they let him go to leave the country. He went to Germany. In Germany, he did his PhD, okay? After that one, he had a chance to go to the United States where he was offered a job. Then he became a professor. Then, about 11 years before his student, he got the Nobel Prize. Then he produced 4 students, including Robert Solow, who all became Nobel Prize winners. Okay? The importance of human capital. You see? His student made history. Russians they lost that type of so important asset. That person could make that contribution from the name of Russia. Okay? And another similarity of his, as a student of Vasily who had 4 students who got Nobel Prize, he also was able to produce 4 students who got Nobel Prize. Okay? Nobel Prize. The 4 who were able to get, which means the conclusion is, so in the future, if you would like to choose a supervisor, try to choose a person who got Nobel Prize. Okay? So which means that you may have a chance to be a Nobel Prize winner. Okay, the right guidance is always good. Okay, so don't worry if you got Nobel Prize. You don't have to worry in our country. You will be star. Okay, good. So anyway, it's interesting for his good contribution. Solow, because of this growth model, he made great contribution to the science. Okay. So this article mainly, considers the capital accumulation, okay, and how the saving and investment rate is going to become new investment. Okay. Good. Solow, because the Solow model considers Douglas production function, which I will write down in here, okay, which includes technology, capital, and labor, right? Douglas production function. Let me write it down. Where output is equal to some technology, capital in the power of alpha, times labor in the power of 1 minus alpha, right? Labor, capital, and labor. So, once you can see in this model, in the Solow model, who considers Douglas production function, okay? So this capital and labor determines output, okay? And in the model, we are going to consider 4 types of, exogenous variables, which is saving rate, population growth, and growth in technology. Those 3, okay? Saving rate, growth in population, and growth in technology. So these 3 exogenous factors, okay, they are given as exogenous in this model. By saying exogenous, we say it's given for us, okay? It's given for us. Okay. So this model shows that the dynamic link, okay, between capital accumulation, okay, and that change in saving rate. So if you graphically draw it, I will draw it and it will be, plotting, which is capital, okay, in a horizontal line. So this curve represents our output. I will write down later, which is, next one is investment, okay, and this one is depreciation rate, okay, depreciation of capital. Okay, this is investment. So we show the dynamic link. So because there is, marginal return to capital, right? Marginal return to capital based on that one. So, and the difference, so this is stock of capital. let's say it's capital 1 given in 1 year. Okay? And how is it going to change over the years? It's per capita. So this one is investment, right? You know that output is equal to, so consumption plus investment, right? So we will consume as we talked last week, and the remaining we are going to invest. The assumption. So this curve represents us that investment curve. Okay? And this is the distance between the horizontal line, and this one is representing investment. The remaining is going to represent us consumption, right? Consumption, which is this much. And this one is this vertical line gives us the depreciation rate of capital. Okay? Depreciation rate of capital. And what about our next t, if it's t, the capital of t plus 1, how is it going to change? Capital is going to depreciate, yes? So which means that if it stays this much, it's going to depreciate by this much. Because investment is greater than depreciation, this much of investment is going to compensate the depreciation rate, and the remaining is going to be added to the next period of capital. Which means that this is dynamic link. Okay? This is dynamic link. Good. So look, there is no direct trace of money in this model. Alright? Why? Economists think that, money grows in the long run, okay, money does not matter for real economic value. For example, monetary economist Carl Walsh, okay, what he said in the long run, money growth and inflation display a correlation of 1. But we know that the importance of monetary policy in the economy, right? When do we need it? Let's say this is, natural growth of the economy, right? And we have business cycle, right, like this, yes? When economy experiences recession, we definitely know there will be, the government rushing to help us, yes? Which is they are going to implement monetary and fiscal policy. So this is short run, okay? This short run is very important for the long run too. If government does not intervene in the model, you know that government is going to increase money supply, yes? And they are going to reduce interest rate. So again, economy is going to, work properly. Anyway, this is important to avoid this, that point. But in the long run, when it's considered, the correlation is 1, which means that output, okay, is going to increase, but in nominal terms, not in real terms, okay? Good. And you know that when economists, they speak, they are different from most of other fields of studies, right? If you are saying something, we should provide empirical evidence, right? Okay. So now if you look at these two graphs, it's empirical support, okay? So inflation rate and growth rate in money supply. You can see that this is regression line, let's suppose, okay? And now countries data, how money supply, okay, over the years, the correlation between these two. It's close to 1. Okay, this is real data. And in the case of US, this is in the case of Denmark. In the book, there are many more given. Okay. There was empirical support, okay? All right. And regarding the timing, okay? So our lecture, so now we will be deriving some, Solow model, okay? The steady state level of capital, output, and consumption in discrete time. To derive it, you may consider both. 1, discrete time or continuous time. During the lecture, we are able to do only in discrete time, and in the seminar, we are going to do with continuous time. So what's the difference between discrete time and continuous time? Discrete time is given. Okay? Let's suppose the data that you download from World Bank, they're all measured in discrete time. Okay, good. So in one, by the end of the year, this much. It's given, time. So therefore, discrete time, when we express in discrete time, we always give this t. Okay? T. Discrete time. But in continuous time, it will continue. For example, our GDP now, before I come into this room, it was some kind of, 1 point something $3 billion. Within this minute, it's changed so much. It's continually changes, okay? So therefore, but mathematically, when you formulate it, continuous time is very convenient, okay, which most of the researchers, they prefer. But if you want to implement it in data, you should consider discrete time, which is continuous. If you want to use that in the computer data to generate based on Solow model, you have to apply discrete time models, okay? Discrete time. I will show you during the seminar how to do it, briefly, okay? Good. And regarding the Solow model, we said that Solow specifically considered Cobb-Douglas production function. Okay. Why Cobb-Douglas production function? Because it has some features which none of other models has. Because it has constant return to scale. Okay. Professor Douglas, who was an economist, right? He was he was working on some projects. He was very interested whether this kind of function is available or not. Then he asked advice from Professor Koch, okay, mathematician, and together they invented such good model which is implemented so widely in the economic literature. Yes? Okay. So Cobb-Douglas production function, we know the sum of exponents is equal to 1, right? Okay. So look, another thing, the change in output with respect to capital. If you get the Cobb-Douglas production function, okay, and if you check how our output is going to change with respect to change in capital, if you take the first derivative from that model, which we are going to take the derivative from k, right? Okay, it will give us the following equation, and if we simplify, okay, because now it's -1, okay, if we simplify it all, then we will get this output. So which represents us marginal product of capital, okay? So which means that if marginal product of capital decreases as k rises, as capital rises, marginal return to capital, right? Scale. And the same is going to be practiced with labor. Considering Cobb-Douglas production function, if you take, if you check how output is going to change with respect to change in labor, again it represents that marginal product of labor, which means that as labor grows, the return is low. How is it possible? We know, right? Let's suppose a very simple example. This is the room. Okay, let's say I'm an entrepreneur, and my firm, my workers, they produce computers. All right. And in this room, I make 10 spaces for 10 workers, and they are producing computers. And I know that I always here, and I'm invigilating them. So each worker produces 1 computer. Daily production is 10, right? Okay. So now, if there is more demand for my goods based on macroeconomics, I have to expand my business, right? Because there is more profit. If I want to expand my business, I have to increase my capital, right? Okay. And I have to increase the number of labor, let's say about to 100. So what this means, if I increase to 100, am I going to get 100 computers produced? No, right? Because of that fact that it's going to diminish, return is going to diminish. It will be less than 100. Why? Let's say this space is only sufficient for 10 people. In order to make it 400 people, I have to rent 10 more this kind of spaces, right? They are producing 10 because I'm here. And they are doing their best. If there are 9 more, am I able physically, be in those 9? No, which means that the very simple, example, they will be drinking more coffee, they will be talking more about their lives, or they will be smoking more. Just that, ignore the others. We're going to reduce the productivity. Okay? So this is both related to capital and okay. So we will consider this sample later too. So why autologous production function? As I said, because it has a constant return to scale. In other words, because the sum of these exponents is equal to 1. If you are going to double or triple or 4 times increase both factors by the same amount, so the output will increase by same amount. Yes? So if you double both, it means that output will double. Okay? So why is it important? We know that in what is more important. For example, if output grows, this is something good, right? What is really interesting for people, is it output or output per worker? Which one is more important for people? Just output or output per worker? This one, right? Right? So because it has that function, okay, it gives us, to control it by divide and formulate our equation as per capita terms. And last week I forgot about that per worker. We discussed about the importance of per worker, right? And whatever that you see in here, data, which says per worker, it is all per worker PPP adjusted. Okay? PPP adjusted. Solow, India. If there is no capital and labor, any addition of labor and capital is going to be infinite. Why? It's going to grow output, right? And we know that there is diminishing return to capital, right? It's like this, which is going to, over time, it will be like this, yes? If it's too much labor. Or too much capital, let's say. Which means that in this point, because it's too much, any addition of capital and labor is going to be equal to close to 0. Okay? This assumption. Or if there is no labor and no capital, of course, there is nothing produced, which is output is 0. If one of them is missing, whether it's capital and labor, because capital is active as labor, or labor is active as capital, it's going to be equal to 0 if one of them is missing. So these are some assumptions that they have to consider. Okay? Good. So we said which one is more important? It is per capita. Yes? Okay. Good. So now we will do some math on the board. We have given Pythagoras production function, okay, which is our y. I'm not going to write this t always, but assume that it has t, discrete time. Okay. So this is technology times the capital times labor, in the power of alpha and 1 minus alpha. So if we want to get the per capita, we should divide this Pythagoras production both sides to labor, right? divide both sides to labor, so which you will get. So output over labor, it will give us per capita output, right? So now we are able to cancel this one labor with our denominator labor, right? And what we have left, labor alpha times labor in the power of minus alpha. So technology times capital in the power of alpha times labor in the power of minus alpha. Or I can write it alpha times, because the power is the same, right? K over L in the power of alpha. So what does it give us? Per capita? Capital, right? So in other words, our output per worker is equal to technology times per capita, capital in the power of alpha. So which we are going to use over and over time in the following slide. Good. So marginal return to scale explain. So look, capital accumulation. So now we are making an argument that it is growth rate in capital is going to determine growth rate in output. Okay? So now we have this derived our per capita output is equal to technology times capital in the power of alpha, right? So let's check whether it's true or not. If we take natural log of this equation from both sides, so ln y equal to ln a plus alpha ln per capita capital, right? So I'm writing it t in time t. Oh, sorry, time t. What about next period per capita? How is it going to look? Next period per capita is going to be equal to this one, right? Yt plus 1, it was for 2000, this is for 2001. 2001. So capital per capita capital in 2001 is going to determine. So if you take natural log from both sides again, ln yt plus 1 equal ln technology given as it is plus alpha power is same times ln capital per worker t plus 1, right? Okay. So now if we subtract these equations from one another, minus, which is going to give us ln yt plus 1 minus ln yt, right? Which is by itself gives us growth in output, yes? Growth in output. Equal, these two a's will be cancelled out because it's the same, no change, right? But in here, so now we will get alpha per capita capital t plus 1 minus per capita capital t, which gives us growth in capital, right? Which is equal to growth in y. So it is equal to alpha times growth in per capita capital. Okay? So growth in per capita capital really determines growth in output. Okay? So the growth rate in output per worker is proportional to the growth rate in capital per worker. The proportionality factor, as you can see, is exactly equal to alpha. Okay. Good. So now we will consider basic Solow model. All right. Unfortunately, I erased it or below. Again, I'll draw it. Before that, I'll discuss with the same. So in the production function, the Solow model, okay? That output, capital, labor, investment, and consumption, they are all endogenous, okay? While those parameters like saving rate, okay, depreciation rate of capital, and growth in population and growth in technology, they are all given. In other words, they are exogenous, okay? Given. So look, and here we know already, as we already said, output is equal to consumption plus investment, right? And that this curve, it represents our output function, okay? Y A times K alpha, all right? And this one represents our investment. We said that investment is equal to saving rate times what? Saving is equal to investment. So saving rate times 1. If we get per capita investment, it's the same, okay? It will be small I times S times small y. So if we implement, now we have y, if you plug it in here, it will give us the curve of investment, which is investment is equal to, this curve is equal, okay? Equal to saving rate times technology times K in the power of alpha. And in here, we are going to consider, because capital is going to depreciate, this is depreciation line. Delta K. Delta K. So, now in basic Solow model, it's a very basic Solow model. Have you ever heard about economy with only one person? What was the name of that type of economy? Robinson-Crusoe economy, right? Which means there is only one person in the economy. He produces, he consumes, he invests. Okay? Or you may make another assumption, the economy consists of one gender people. Okay? Only men or only female, which means they are not going to grow. Same. Or you may consider a country where with a strict demographic policy, where fertility rate and mortality rate is same. Substitution rate is exactly identical. That labor is not going to change. Okay, we are considering that. The assumption in this model that we are going first, labor of ENT is equal to labor of T plus 1. Okay? That one assumption in the first one. So now we are going to derive. Okay. Our capital stock, aggregate capital, T plus 1. So, better do it here. So equal. Here's capital, right? Which is unfortunately depreciated, right, by this much. Yes, there is depreciation. So I introduce you. And plus, it increased by investment. Okay? Investment. Which is investment equal to saving rate times Y. Yes? So capital, as I already mentioned, here this is investment. This is actually capital given. This much depreciated. And for the next period, it increased by this much. Okay, it gives us that one, KT plus 1. It is KT, and this is KT plus 1. So, right? If it's the case. So now, I can write it as our KT plus 1 is equal to 1 minus depreciation rate, KT, these are all average, plus saving rate times output, right? So now we have to convert it into per capita terms. So which means that if you want to make it per capita, we have to divide it by labor, right? Labor T plus 1, because we have to divide both sides by equal, labor T plus 1. Is it possible to make it? It's not, but we already know that our T is not changing. T plus 1 or T, they are all same, right? It's same. So now if you divide it, you will get per capita capital T plus 1 is equal to 1 minus depreciation rate times per capita capital T plus saving rate per capita Y. T. Okay? Good. Now we have it. And we know that our per capita Y is equal to technology times capital in the power of, per capita capital in the power of alpha. So now here, you can plug that. A times per capita capital in the power of alpha. Okay. Good. So, Lord, now we have to derive the law of motion of capital first to find the steady state level. Now we are going to find this point. So which means that according to the Solow model, alright, economy is going to grow. It will grow, it will grow, it will grow, and it will reach one point where it will reach 1 per capita capital, okay? Which is going to be, in this point, investment and depreciation rate is going to be same. After this point, economy is not going to grow. Alright? It will be constant, same. Alright? It's going to be same. So which means that at this point we will be consuming this much because it's investment, this is consumption, which our consumption is not going to change anymore. Alright? Same consumption. Alright. So from here, if we subtract both sides of this equation, okay? Both sides, like KT, okay, KT plus 1 minus KT, which is equal to, let me write it first, saving rate times A times K in the power of alpha, okay, T, plus 1 minus depreciation rate KT, minus KT. I'm subtracting both sides by KT. In order to find this change, I need this change, okay? So now, if I open this bracket, this KT will be cancelled out, right? What I have now, KT plus 1 minus KT is equal to saving rate times A times K in the power of alpha minus depreciation rate times KT. Okay? Good. So, now we are interested to find this alternate value of KT. Look, in here, what is endogenous? It is K. They're changing. Saving rate is given for us. Let's say, this country's saving rate is 0.20%. Okay? Technology is given, just factor 2, 3, whatever. Okay? And depreciation rate, all capital, it's also given. These are always exogenous that we are interested to find in this point. We are saying that after this point, capital is not going to change. Alright, it will be like this. Which means that after this, K star 1 at this point and K star 2 is always going to be same. Okay? Which means if the economy reaches this point, this difference is going to be 0. Okay? It's going to be 0 if our capital reaches steady state level. This point. Okay? This point in the power of alpha minus delta KT in the power of alpha, oh sorry, not alpha, K star. So now you can easily find it. Right? So in other words, if you simplify it, delta K star T is equal to saving rate times technology times K star in the power of alpha T. So in K star T over K star alpha T equals saving rate times technology over depreciation rate, right? Because these are the same, so which our K star 1 minus alpha equals saving rate A over depreciation. And we can find our steady state level of capital is equal to saving rate times technology over depreciation rate in the power of 1 over 1 minus alpha. So now, these are all exogenous given. Now our the capital per capita capital in the steady state level is equal to this. Alright? To this one. So now these are all given. So this is the solution which is, we were interested to find in here. Okay. So once we are able to find the steady state level of capital, are we able to find the steady state level of output? We can easily find it, right? Why? Because we already found our y is going to reach this steady state level if capital reaches that level. So now, if you want to find this capital per capita output in steady state level, it's equal, which is, this should be in steady state level. So A times saving rate times technology over depreciation in the power of 1 minus alpha. It has itself power of alpha. Okay? If you simplify it, then it will give you, then it's going to be alpha. Okay? So y star t is equal to A 1 over 1 minus alpha times saving rate over depreciation in the power of alpha 1 minus alpha. This is per capita output in the steady state level. Okay? So once we have this output found, which is very interesting for us, when we reach that point in the long run, what is going to be our consumption? If output reaches steady state level, our consumption also will reach steady state level. We know that consumption, right, is equal to C0 of y, right? Yes? Okay. So if it's this one, in other words, it's equal to saving rate, that consumption rate is equal to 1 minus saving rate. Yes? Okay. So now I can write it 1 minus saving rate times output. Okay. If I turn it to per capita, I can easily do it. Okay. Per capita. So now we know that we already found it will reach steady state level if our y is in steady state level. If you plug this, what we derive in here, you are able to find 1 minus saving rate times all of this. Okay? All of this. And it will give us how we are going to consume in the long run. During the seminar, I will give you real examples, okay, with all those numbers that you are going to implement and how much we are going to consume in the long run. Good? So this is in the case of basic Solow model, alright, that we derive. Here it's nicely written, you can follow later. Alright? Good? Output and consumption also given. How can we derive the outcomes in continuous time? We will do it during the seminar. Okay? So now we derived it based on discrete time, but in terms of continuous time, it's going to be very different, but more convenient. Okay? Good. So now the next one, Solow model with population growth, which is close to reality, right? Population grows. Population grows. Okay. So let's suppose capital accumulation. All right. Let's suppose and make assumption that capital does not change. All right. Let's say capital of t plus 1 is equal to capital T. But labor is growing by rate of n. Now consider this. Per capita capital T plus 1 or per capita capital T. What is it equal to? Is it 1? No. We said that labor is growing. It's now not anymore stock of capital, right? So where A is equal to capital stock T plus 1 over labor stock T plus 1 over capital stock of T over labor. Yeah? Okay, good. So now it's equal to capital stock T plus 1 over capital T times LT over L T plus 1. Yes? So now it is equal to 1. And this is, we are saying, it's growing by n, which is equal to 1 over 1 plus n, right? 1 plus n. Okay. So if it's the case, so now we got this equal to our capital T plus 1 over capital T is equal to 1 over 1 minus n. So multiply both sides by kt per capital, which will give us our capital T plus 1 for the HC is equal to, oh sorry, it's plus, yes? Plus 1. So 1 over 1 plus n times kt. We are interested to know about the change, yes? Change. So look, if we subtract both sides of the equation by kt, which is going to give us change in capital for worker, right? Is equal to, so now if we do it, what's going to be 1 plus n or 1 plus n, it will give us minus 1 over 1 plus n. Is it true? Fine. That's simplified. Okay, anyway, let me write down. So in other words, so which will give us minus 1 plus n k. So which means this is going to be cancelled out, and we have, okay, here it contains n as well, right? Minus. So Lord, now it shows us when population grows, okay, the change is going to be negative. Unless this population growth is compensated with some other factors. Alright? So capital is going to diminish if population is going to grow. Alright? Population is going to grow. Alright. So if it's the case, if population is growing, and then if it leads to reduction in capital. Okay. So now we will derive Solow model with population growth. So now our labor plus T plus 1 is equal to labor T, and it's growing by n, right? Can I write it like this? Yes? Okay. And our capital stock of T plus 1 is equal, as we already know, to capital stock itself minus depreciation, right? Because it's depreciation plus investment. Okay? So in other words, I can write down in here capital T plus 1 is equal to, let me write it first, this saving investment, okay? Saving rate times the output, which is the investment, plus 1 minus depreciation rate times capital stock. Okay, capital stock. So now we are going to convert it into per capita terms. Now we are going to divide both sides by LT plus 1. LT plus 1 is it, are we able to divide it to turn it to per capita? No, right? But we know that our T plus 1 is equal to this. So now we can easily plug it right in here, which will give you that our labor T times 1 plus N. Now we can convert it into per capita terms, which will give you per capita output of T plus 1 is equal to 1 over 1 plus N, saving rate times per capita output plus 1 minus depreciation rate times per capita capital. Okay? We got this equation. And still, when population is growing, okay, we are interested to find this point, steady state level. In order to that one, we should know this change. So now from this equation, we have to subtract both sides by KT per capita. So KT plus 1 minus KT is equal to 1 plus N. So let me write it again, YT plus 1 minus depreciation rate, capital T, minus KT. Okay? Minus KT. So now, if you simplify, you will get KT plus 1 minus KT is equal to 1 over 1 plus N, saving rate YT. Then it's going to be minus population growth plus depreciation times KT. Okay? You will get this one. You will get this one. So now we are saying that we have to find steady state level, this point of capital. After reaching this point, this population grows, capital is not going to change, which means it's going to be equal to 0. It will be 0. If it's 0, we can easily cancel out this multiplication, right? If you multiply both sides to 1n, so then you get 0 is equal saving rate times per capita y, which is equal to this one, right? Technology times capital, and it's going to be 0. Its capital per capita capital is in the steady state level, in the term out. Okay? Minus n plus delta capital per work. You know, this is exogenous given. If you find that capital, the per capita capital in the steady state level, you will get it to be equal alpha. Let me write it down like this. Saving rate times A n plus delta in the power of 1 over 1 minus alpha. If you do it, you will get this number. Okay? Good. Once we have this per capita capital found, we can easily find steady state level of per capita output. So if you find per capita output in steady state level, you will get, again, A in the power of 1 over 1 minus alpha times saving rate over 1n plus delta in the power of alpha over 1 minus alpha. Okay? And regarding consumption, again you can easily find it because this y is found. So your steady state level of consumption is going to be equal 1 minus saving rate to y, this is per capita y, yt. If you plug it, you will get the value of per capita consumption. Okay? So in the final exam, because there are two ways of deriving the steady state levels, all right? Either in continuous or discrete time, these are very important derivations. Okay? You may expect in your exam, and these are going to make good marks. All right? So which means that you will not regret learning these derivations. Okay, good. So we did it all. Okay. consumption, you will get this value, all right? Regarding discrete time or continuous time derivation, we are going to do it during the seminar, okay? Good. Convergence analysis in the Solow model. Solow. If you consider aggregate output, yes, aggregate output. This one, aggregate output. If labor grows, aggregate output will grow, yes? If aggregate output grows, investment also will grow, yes? So it will look like this, right? It will look like this. What about in the case of per capita? Is it going to grow? It will not grow, right? If the speed of growth is high, it will be reducing per capita. Yes? Okay. What about in the case of this technology? If technology grows, our aggregate output is going to grow, yes? Investment also will grow. What about in the case of per capita term? Is it going to grow? Yes. If technology grows, it will grow. Per capita will grow. So now most of the developed countries, their per capita, okay, now increase so much mainly because of this factor technology, okay, which is growing. All right. What about in the case of saving rate? You know that if saving rate changes, if saving rate is increasing, okay, investment rate is increasing in the economy, is this output is going to grow? It will grow, but it will not going to shift. Because if we are going to increase our investment, we have to reduce our consumption. It is within this gap, okay? If we increase in this one, we should reduce consumption. So therefore, it will follow this line. But what is interesting here, once investment rate is increased, okay, economy is going to end up in different steady-state level. Do you understand? Let's suppose that investors that golden rule of consumption, right? Steady-state level, okay, this is called as goal, which is, in its end slide that we just explained it first, okay? Consumption is going to reach that golden level, which means that we are able, with all factors given, we are going to reach one point in the future where it will give us consumption maximum, okay? And that maximum is going to be distance somewhere in here is going to be the maximum distance. Okay? Maximum distance. So where that investment should reach this point, okay? This point, and it reaches the economy, it reaches that steady state level at this point. This is going to reach the capital goal, okay? Which means that our consumption is going to be the greatest in the future. But if that investment rate is more than this investment rate, we will end up in the future somewhere in here. Output is of course more, but consumption is less than this one, which is not interesting for us. What really matters for people is consumption. So now you may find economies, most of them, okay, almost all countries, they are somewhere in here. Economies are somewhere in here. Okay. Let's suppose technology is not changing. Okay. Their saving rate is somewhere here, and their economies are going to be expected this much. Let's suppose. Okay. So therefore, if we are going to increase if the economy of Uzbekistan is somewhere here, our saving rate is, let's say, 10%. Okay. And 90% is consumption. So now we may reach this level if our saving rate is going to reach that 30%, let's suppose. Are you willing to do that sacrifice? Which means that if we increase the saving rate investment, okay, we are going to reduce our consumption today by 20%, right? And you have to remember, it is long run. To reach this level, it may take hundreds of years. You are going to reduce your consumption, increase your investment, just thinking about your grandchildren, okay? Which people are not willing to do. Okay. Good. So regarding this one is investment, it really makes that change in terms of golden rule. Okay. So now you can make it. If technology grows, it's the best factor of growth. Okay. It's good one. If saving rate increases, output will increase, and if you know that population and depreciation is reduces, output of course will increase. Okay. Good. And this is one model, okay, which Solow model, which that encouraged most of the policymakers to apply it in order to reach high level of growth in the future. We have to control population growth. Some countries which strictly implemented this kind of policies. If population is growing, output per capita will not grow. Okay, good. And this is empirical evidence again. You can see that average annual population grows. And GDP per worker is regress on this one. When countries with small population, their per capita is low. If you draw a regression line, it will look like this, straight line, negative. Okay? And on the other hand, average investment share of GDP, countries which are investing more, and they are experiencing more per capita. Okay? Positive slope. This is empirical evidence. Okay? Government and structural policy, Solow, and please pay attention to this one. It may, okay. So let's suppose government is taxing all of us, right? And how does government spend this tax? It's equal to government's consumption, yes? And it's equal to government's investment. Right? Government. This tax is spent for consumption or investment. Alright? And we know that this government, consumption is equal to some consumption rate, yes, times output. They are consuming that much. Or investment regarding government investment, some investment rate, right, out of that output. Okay, good. This is regarding consumption, or you can write it, tax is equal to consumption rate times Y plus investment rate times Y. Okay? Y. Or even simpler, if you write it simpler, we can make it this one times Y. Okay? And what about private consumption? Private consumption is equal to consumption rate, yes, private consumption rate times disposable income, right? Tax is equal to this one. If you plug it in here, you will get that private consumption is equal to consumption rate times Y, 1 minus C consumption rate, government consumption rate plus investment rate. Right? this one. Okay. And what about total consumption in the economy? Now this is private consumption, this is government consumption. And now, if you want to find this consumption, total consumption, which is equal to government consumption plus private consumption. We know that government consumption is equal to this one, yes? And private consumption is equal to this one. If you plug it in here and simplify it, you will get this. Okay, you will get this. And we know that saving rate is equal to 1 minus consumption rate. We found this consumption rate in here, which is now consumption is equal to consumption rate, which is equal to this, expressed by private and government consumption, okay, times y. If you plug it to here, saving rate is equal to 1 minus consumption rate in here, and simplify, you will get this equation at the end. What's the conclusion? If private consumption increases, saving will be reduced. Saving rate will be reduced. If government consumption increases, saving rate will be reduced. But if investment rate increases, saving rate will increase. This is evidence, okay? So, but it was found empirically when private consumption increases in the economy, government consumption reduces. Empirical evidence. You can see, or in the case of US, when private consumption will, tend to increase, government consumption tend to decrease. Keynes, right? John Maynard Keynes, it was him. He said, when country is in the boom position, right? Where people are consuming more, government should reduce spending, consumption, in order to stabilize it. Or when people are consuming less, which is going to lead to economic recession, right? Government should increase consumption. So, in other words, in the long run, it tells that consumption itself is not going to change. Okay? Because this one is going to compensate. If it reduces, it increases. Good? So which means that investment is very important thing. Alright? Good. So in here, why sometimes an increase in government spending is important in the short run? We already explained it, right? Government implements monetary policy in the case of crisis, yes? Recession, which is very important. Increase money supply, decrease interest rate. Okay? It's important. How does an increase in government consumption affect on the steady-state level of output? If government increases consumption, which means that consumption will be more, right? Investment rate is going to be less. And in the long run, output will be less. Is it true? It is true. Because if government starts increasing its consumption, investment rate is going to be less, and output in the long run will be less. Okay? But there are a number of arguments that it's not going to affect negatively. For example, the government could choose to spend an increase in tax revenue on investment. Government now is taxing us, okay? We are paying tax, we are very upset, but government is now investing into the infrastructure. Do you understand? We are not investing, but government is investing. It's saying that saving rate is not changing, which means the output in the long run is not going to change. Or a tax finance increase in public spending and schools and hospitals reduce private consumption. Why? Now, we are paying 30% of our income to the government, right? Private. But government gets that 30%, okay? And builds schools and offers education for free. Builds hospitals and it's, offers it, for very cheap price compared to private ones. So which means that even though we are paying it, we are consuming now more. Still, we are not paying for our children's education. We are saving more. Do you understand? Now we are saving more, which is not changing that output in the long run. Same. Okay? Good. Public spending on healthcare and education may improve productivity of labor. Government is taxing us and spending it for education. And our human capital is getting educated, healthy, which means that it's going to increase this technology. If technology is increased, our output will be sharply growing. Okay? The last one, public spending on improving the quality of its institutions. Government is taxing us, and that money is spent for fighting corruption, for example. Okay? Which is very strong barrier for economic growth. Or they're improving, that they're removing bureaucracy from the government, okay? Those things. If it's the case, if they're spending, it's not going to affect negatively, but it will be positive effect, okay? Good. Which is more important in increasing output of consumption, which we already discussed, okay? I said there is one point in the economy which is going to reach the golden level of consumption in the steady state level. This is the most optimal point. Do you understand? More capital is no good, or less capital is no good. If we have more capital than this one, okay, than this one, let's say with that one, it will be going back to this point, which I'll show you during the seminar. Okay. So you can read it from the Sorensen's book. I try to compact it so to avoid many other discussions. Okay, so you can read it. Our lecture is over. Thank you very much.